Hello,
Hi, how are you?
how are you?
No, but I'll show you. It's just
Wow!
really,
Oh, lucky you. It's beautiful.
there's the,
Is it in LA?
yeah.
I don't know how it is in LA. Are you really like everyone is in their home and you don't go out, or?
Well, you're not supposed to go out except, you can go probably the same there, like for walks, exercise, to go get like essential items. Uh, it's not so strict though, like we don't have to carry around a letter
Mhm.
saying why we're out, or at this point we can still like travel out of our neighborhood or um, at least by car. People in LA are in their cars a
Mhm.
lot. So it's unusual to see people out walking so much. The air is incredibly clean. The birds are chirping because, you know, it's the wildlife seems happy. Um, there's a lot of space here.
Mhm.
Um, so, I mean, I'm glad I'm not in New York or another really dense city where it's harder to walk around without running into people.
Let's go back to Antonioni. Can you tell me, like, do you remember the first time that you saw the Red Desert?
Actually, I never saw the Red Desert before, I don't think. Um, I think I maybe had only seen the Passenger, um, which it's strange. The things I remembered about that movie were maybe two shots, like a lot of Jack Nicholson and Maria Schneider riding in a car, but they're like these two kind of iconic shots. One when she's sort of leaning over the back of the convertible or sitting on the top of looking backwards at the trees of the road, but yeah, I remembered so little about the actual sort of narrative of the movie, just that I feel like he did things like painted a wall a certain color, or just every every shot seemed super composed and really like a painting.
And how did you discover Antonioni?
Uh, non-Hollywood movies. I mean, when I was 15 or 14, my brother took me to see my first Godard movie, Pierre Le Fou. And actually, when I was young, my parents took me to see, I think, Eight and a Half or La Dolce Vita.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know, it just kind of seemed there were art houses near where I lived and on the west side. And I remember going to see, Pathfinder Festival, the Fellini movies whenever the new one came out, or going to see like retrospectives. So, but I actually, for some reason, never really saw like all the Antoni movies. Yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting. Actually, the other movie that I didn't rewatch the whole thing, but I don't know why I read something during the day that reminded me of it, and so I put it on and was just watching the beginning. Oh, I watched actually a interview with the director, uh, Lucia Motel. She did this movie, La Cienega, called The Swamp,
Mhm.
and she did it, I think, in like maybe 2002. Uh, I think she's Venezuelan. Anyway, there was a thing on Criterion about her talking about the movie, and it's an incredible movie. The color is beautiful, and the sounds. That movie Roma that came out a few years ago
Mhm.
that everyone was so crazy about. It took so much from La Cienega. It was amazing. And nobody really talks about that I saw, but anyway, she was talking about how in the beginning of the movie, she wanted to set up some sound event to kind of set the atmosphere for the whole movie. And the scene starts out by a swimming pool, and it's kind of hard to tell what era it was supposed to be, like 70s almost. I don't know. It's like I it's been a little bit since I saw the movie, but um, they laid all this tile down around the pool because she wanted to create this really almost screeching noise when people pulled the metal pool furniture over it, and they're all like sitting around drinking red wine and with ice and glasses by the pool, and they're all kind of crowded together. And the mother drops her glass; she's kind of drunk, and so there's glass all over. They're walking around barefoot, and the whole movie kind of has this sense of something's going to happen, some impending disaster. It's very chaotic in a way, and there are all these children around. And but I kind of feel like being inside is sort of like that's my new landscape instead of watching movies, as I guess it is for a lot of people.
And what is your relationship to culture? Like, do you have the urge to know the most thing possible, or not?
Oh, you mean it like delve into each director?
Yeah, and to watch like a lot of things. And
I mean, I feel like that's a luxury to do that, and even I still am a little guilty about watching movies during the day, so I only watch at night. But I do feel like uh, this is kind of a time where there is more time to do things like that. I felt like, like when I was in college, I took a history of film class, and when you're one thing about college, that's a time when you do have the luxury to explore things, and it's nice to kind of feel a little more of that mindset, you know. I don't know, but I'm not like I'm not a film nerd, if that's what you're asking me. I could be, but I do have other things I actually have to do.
okay. And did you plan, like, during this quarantine period, did you plan what you were going to watch, or what you were going to listen or to read, or?
Um, I mean, no, I didn't really plan it, but like I decided to reread Stars at Noon. It's by Dennis Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
kind of one of my favorite books, and it's again like I guess what put it in my head is I know that Claire Denis is making it into a movie, and I kind of feel like she's one of the few people I could see doing a great job with that, and it kind of just renewed my interest in it. And uh, it also kind of describes this place in limbo, so it seems very of the time, to read it. But I hadn't actually planned on it.
What's the story of this book?
It's about this journalist who's from America. Well, you don't even, it's a character. She's kind of almost like a fake journalist. Like maybe she wrote one thing once for some obscure, like unimportant magazine. But she's down in Nicaragua during, this very political time. And uh, she's been in Costa Rica, and she's kind of one of those almost like an expat, or like just traveling around and floating around. And she's kind of living on the edges. And I don't know, it's just really about, and she meets this Englishman. It's really about these two characters, or mostly her. And, it's a time with a big power move, and it's not clear what's happening or what the rules, how clamped down the rules are going to be.
And do you listen to a lot of music during these days?
I mean, I listen to usually generally, yeah, usually in the morning or like in the evening, you know, when I start eating dinner, I put music on. Um, yeah, like kind of actually re-listening, rediscovering a lot of kind of jazz records.
Really?
I used to listen to a lot of jazz when I was growing up and when I was a teenager and um, in my early 20s. Um, and I know I've kind of just gotten back into it a little bit.
What do you like in jazz?
Well, I don't know. My friend sent me this Roscoe Mitchell record. He was part of the Art Ensemble of Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
avant-garde jazz group, and it's a record he made with an orchestra with compositions he wrote. It's a beautiful record. Um, yeah, I don't know. I like, you know, it just depends on the mood, really. Uh, Arthur Doyle or Albert Eiler, John Coltrane, Sun Ra.
It's funny because in jazz, I'm not an expert at all, but I have the feeling that there is a kind of constriction, deconstruction and constriction, like in
Uh-huh.
the whole music that you've been playing your life.
Mm.
Don't you agree?
Um, yeah, I mean, there is kind of like yeah, it is sort of like that. I mean, in the classic, like, sort of Coltrane era jazz, like, when people take solos and they come back in, but there is, yeah, some of the songs, like, really break down. They start out with a melody or something and, like, break down, they go off into something, and then they come back at the end. It's funny because there was, on the first Body Head record, there was a song that someone actually, in the review, they described it as being like sort of a classic Coltrane
Really?
in a way, yeah,
Ah,
the way
it's
it's kind of
funny.
deconstructed. Yeah. I think it's the song Abstract, but I'm not sure. Uh, but yeah, so, I mean, I kind of got tired of that sort of formulaic thing, especially going to see live jazz. Like, okay, here's the drummer. And I mean, they can be amazing players and, you know, and so that's what makes it work. But um, it's interesting how, like, sort of it became then free noise, or, like, you know, some jazz musicians on the edge kind of started getting more involved with playing with people who are into kind of more dissonant music, noise music, without that sort of the traditional formalisms. And I mean, people like Albert Eiler and Ornette Coleman took it so far into that area anyway. It's kind of nice how it became freed up from uh, just conventions of, if it's jazz, it has to be this way. Or, you know, I mean, all genre music has that in it, which I don't ever like. Uh, uh, I mean, I don't mind it, but it's just something that you kind of work against or off of or something.
But why did you want it in the first place to work against conventions?
It's just about freedom.
And would you say that you like accidents in music?
Yeah, I think accidents work. I mean, I think in improv, it's very important. I wouldn't necessarily call them accidents, but it's kind of like when you get into a moment where you get out of a flow or things feel really awkward. I think it's, um, you know, it's like sex. You have to, like, let yourself be in the awkward moment because it's not really the way it is on TV. I mean, movies or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, what is the actual part that's sexy for sex? It's awkward in a way.
It's
Like it's
funny.
pleasurable, but it's also like part of it is the tension going into it or something.
Have you always been comparing music to sex?
No, not out loud.
But it's a great comparison.
Yeah, I mean, I actually had to write something for this afterward for this Rizzoli book that's going to come out at, I don't know when, but it's just a book of pictures, basically, like a scrapbook. Uh, and I did kind of describe, I was talking about rock music and image, how you can't separate the kind of, and how it's like uh, electrified sexuality or electricity and sex mix. I forgot what I said, but something like that. But I never usually talk about it directly like that because it's kind of a cliche also. Yeah.
Yeah, and you've been writing a lot about um, like feminine cliches, female stereotypes in music. I've been rereading your autobiography like last month, and you were saying a lot against the fact that women in pop culture were marketing themselves.
I think it's kind of a survival instinct, like it's kind of built to the DNA or something. Also, there's like so many women have this irrepressible urge to please, probably myself included.
And how did you discover in the first place that there were this whole patriarchal system surrounding women and that women sometimes were playing the patriarchal game?
Um, I don't know. I just, I guess looking at mainstream music really, like Rolling Stone covers, magazine covers. Uh, it's like you just learn that sex sells, like everyone else uses it, and everyone else uses the female form. So why not use it yourself? Which is perfectly logical, and why not? Um, but sometimes what starts out as a good idea becomes not a good idea. I don't know. But, I don't know. There are many ways to look at it. It's just every 5 years, there seems to be, feminism seems to evolve or change in some way. And every generation is different. Also, so you can't really say one is right and one isn't. But um, it's interesting, like this young girl who's playing bass with me in these 2 gigs I did a very short tour recently, and she and there's a woman playing guitar as well, and when she said to the guitar player, like, when are women gonna start wearing pants on stage again? I thought that was really kind of interesting, uh, because it's really hard to tell what the younger generation thinks about that sort of thing. So, how women present themselves, because there has been such like a huge surge towards, yes, sexualizing oneself and enjoying your body, and which is, it's not the same. You can do both. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
And what do you think of feminism these days? Are you happy with it?
I mean, it's still like such a long way to go, especially in America. I mean, America, I shouldn't say that. It's just really certain basic rights seem to always, now we're back on our heels again, but abortion issues and just still not equal wage and things like that. Um, but, there is some progress made in some areas.
But you've been quite involved in politics, like you supported Bernie Sanders. You even did a video, which was very funny.
Yeah.
So was it like natural for you to support political men, or?
Well, I mean, him. It's funny because, you know, I am a child of the 60s, and I kind of like getting involved with going to his rally and meeting him and hearing Cornel West talk and different people, AOC. It kind of made me feel the way I did when I would go to demonstrations as a teenager, kind of anti-Vietnam demonstrations. And it's kind of sense of hope. What is that feeling? That foreign feeling, and kind of a bit more meaning. Wanting to kind of. I think Bernie did a great job of reminding people that they do have power and a voice. I think, on the left, especially in America, like it's a fairly young movement. Especially what he's galvanized. It's not a young movement, but what he's galvanized into much more visible and powerful movement. It's still only since 2015. The other great thing about his campaign is it wasn't just about him getting elected, but about growing this movement, which remains now and will do other things and hopefully be able to push more things.
But how did you feel when he decided to quit the race?
I mean, I feel like, with the guy Bernie, I feel like, in a way, he didn't have a killer instinct, to go after Biden, and he kept calling him his friend. And I feel like he should have used his power more at the end to at least try and get one concession out of Joe Biden, even if he was lying. Yeah, maybe we'll vote for Biden, but he has to earn our vote more, and there's a lot of young people who the reason why they don't come out to vote is because they're totally nihilistic, especially after what's happened after the Rona, or not after, but what's going to be after. And even now, it's like, is there going to be anything for their future, as far as it's going to be a slow build back. And already there really wasn't much, at least in America, as safeguards or assurance they'd have some kind of anything but a struggle to get milestones that the older generations have had. So it's kind of like, if you're not offering young people anything, why should they come out and vote for you? If you're not offering them to get rid of college debt or Medicare for all, or there's not a lot of motivation.
And how do you picture the future? Do you feel confident, or do you feel like very anxious?
I'm just trying to take it one day at a time. And I mean, I'm fortunate in that I don't live in a place that I get kicked out of, or I don't have to worry about money immediately. Like, I'm not living month to month situation yet. But I also don't have any income per se. I mean, tiny Sonic Youth royalties. Anyway, so, but I'm just trying to. I feel bad for all the people who are poor, who are in prisons, who don't have, who are homeless in third world countries that have such a density, like India or places in South America. I don't know, it just seems like there's so many places that aren't going to be equipped to handle this. We can barely handle it. We're not handling it. Someone sent me this. I didn't read the article yet, but of the 6 or 7 countries that are doing the best in managing the economics and everything with the virus are countries that are all led by women. So that's interesting.
What do you think of this fact?
I think women make better leaders. I don't know. I don't know. I think women have the ability to go from the left to the right side of the brain more easily. They don't get stuck and focused on.
In France, there is a whole reflection about will the world after this quarantine period be totally different, and in what kind of different world do we want to have? Mm-hmm. Do you think about this kind of stuff already, or?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think a little bit. I think it seems like, well, again, if someone like Trump is again in power, or an establishment Democrat that doesn't want to do anything but tinker around the edges and doesn't see the need for entire economic structural overhaul. Someone was talking today on this new show I watch about how the Democrats used to be the party of workers, and now they're the party of suburban kind of white collar, job people, and that's not good. And they had this, actually, I think it's French, this guy, Piketty.
Yeah, Thomas Piketty, yes.
Yeah, they had him on, and he was talking about, I guess he just put out a book about how if you look back through history, the more the world moved towards equality economically and culturally, the more wealth there was, the more countries prospered because there was more education and things like that. And since Ronald Reagan, it's kind of reversed course, the inequality, and it's only the top 1%, now. It used to be the top 2%, the top 1%, so they have all the wealth. But anyway, his book seems super interesting because I always felt like Reaganism just completely fucked up the United States. It could be a good opportunity to realize the only way forward is really to have more social safety nets for people, to help take care of people more equally, to realize who the essential workers are. We've already kind of recognized that, but to make action instead of just lip service about things like that.
And have you always been that interested in politics?
I mean, to a certain extent, but not like I am now. When Reagan became, not since I was a teenager. I mean, I was, but it's more in a general homogenized culture sucks. We live not in a participatory way, really, except for donating money to certain causes or something. But in a way, when you make unconventional music, or it was always the idea of making work that goes against a homogenized culture and provide an alternative, to that. I hate to use the word alternative because it became like a radio format, and
yeah,
suddenly a music genre.
How is it to be an alternative person your whole life, to refuse being in the mainstream group? Was it hard sometimes? Did you regret it sometimes?
I mean, it's just the way I am. It's just I have a problem with authority.
Okay.
Question authority. It's just it's the only way I know how to be. Like, honestly. So it's how I was raised. I don't really think about it except when I'm doing an interview or having a conversation like this.
I saw, but I don't know if you were involved or not in it. But I saw that Sonic Youth like released recordings from some gigs on Bandcamp.
Mm-hmm.
Were you involved in this project or?
I mean, not really.
Okay, maybe that's a bad
yes,
question.
No, yes, Sonic Youth is involved. I mean, Steve, our drummer,
Okay.
is involved with overseeing stuff like that, and he'll send tapes. How about putting this up? But basically, just trying to figure out other ways to like get music out and make some money too. I suppose. So yeah, I mean, we have all these live recordings. So.
And do you miss being on stage? Because your whole tour may be canceled now, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. I mean, it was after having so much anxiety about putting a band together and rehearsing and the whole thing and playing these 3 gigs we played. Yeah, kind of. It was. The tour wasn't going to start till the end of May, but yeah, it's a little disappointing having kind of geared up for the whole thing. And it was fun. And I don't know when we'll be able to really play live.
And where do you find your energy during this strange period?
Honestly, I don't know. Like I've been doing like, exercise class, things like that. Going for walks, and then I've actually been doing writing for different things, and I've been doing interviews. Strangely, uh, people are also like, it's starting to get to the point where everyone's looking for online content, and then it's starting to get, wait, no, because I was just thinking about, I have our project I'm working on or thinking about, and some ideas for painting, and just trying to recording some stuff.
Do you still feel creative?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just frustrating because I have ideas for things that I can't execute right now, and that's difficult. Yeah, but a lot of things start out kind of conceptually and just anyway with ideas. But yeah, it's a little frustrating that way.
You
I mean, I
don't.
can go to my studio and paint, but I don't like to just paint for the sake of painting. I don't know. I end up with some bad paintings that way.
Where do you find your inspiration without the outside world, without the real life?
Well, like from films,
Okay.
reading books, same kind of inspiration, really. I mean, I can go out and drive around and look at things. But, I don't know. One thing that's nice is that I live on the east side, and the only upside really is that there's hardly any traffic. So it's like a whole new city. You can drive to the west side in a half an hour.
Do you think that it's gonna back to normal after the quarantine?
Oh, I think it's gonna be a long time before it goes back to normal. I don't know. I think, especially here. I mean, maybe other places that have testing, but that's one of the things that Donald Trump doesn't seem. I don't know if he knows what his job is, or like he doesn't really know how to manage anything. He was just a fake manager, on his TV show, and he doesn't understand fully why testing is important, and the more testing. And I think it's just also they don't have the supplies, but also I think you have to decide and have a goal and try to achieve it. And I feel like he sends out so many mixed signals about that. But I think that is kind of, people say, the scientists and medical professionals say the key to opening the economy is having more testing. So, and even then, it's kind of like, what's that really going to be like? Are people really going to go sit in a restaurant and eat? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think in the future we will all like wear masks,
Yeah,
for a start.
yeah, for sure. But there's still people here who don't wear masks, like my niece who lives with me, who she goes up to Ventura County to go surfing because that's the only beach that still opens. But she said people up there don't wear masks. Just they're walking around. And there's states where people just I don't even know if all the states have been told to quarantine yet
Really?
by their governors. I mean, it's kind of a ridiculous country. It's like Trump. It's just he wants to manage. He wants to be a dictator, but he actually doesn't want to lay down, say that everyone should stay at home because he doesn't want to be. I don't know. He doesn't. He feels like that's too big a government thing for him. I don't know. He doesn't know what the Constitution is or what his job is.
And what is your relationship to time? Because I have the feeling, at least in Paris, time it's very different now. At the same time, it's very short and it's very, very long.
The days go by very quickly, but yeah, it just seems like unending. Or like, when is it? I don't know, it's starting to be weird when you see like people in movies or on TV that are standing next to each other without social distancing.
In your album, Airbnb, you were talking about Airbnb,
Uh-huh.
and about like you explained to me that you had a whole reflection about our relationship to home, what is a home, and the fake homes, and the way that pictures on Airbnb were like faking homes.
Uh-huh. Well, I mean, I think in a way also like Airbnb also represented freedom from your home or yourself. And it's interesting, like I've noticed, I've gotten a couple of ads from them or seen things. They are advertising quarantine destinations now.
Do you think that they sell us a kind of dream of a home?
I think it's kind of a dream, like a vacation from your life in a way, like, but not as sterile as a hotel, kind of, it's, like a home, but there's no clutter. There's no like memorabilia. It's kind of sexier. It's sort of gives you the sense that it's opening up a new vista or something.
And do you feel at home in your home?
Yeah, I do. I love my house.
Or do you have new dreams?
I don't know if I have new dreams. I'm getting a new puppy.
Oh yeah, that's right. What kind of puppy?
He's an Australian Shepherd puppy. I had one before that it was a great dog. We had to put down a couple of years ago.
Oh.
No, I don't know. I'm just, I have ideas for work that I want to do, but I don't have any big visions of.
And what do you do during the day? Do you work every day?
I mean, it's kind of a patch quilts of activity. Like in the morning, I watch this political show, Rising on Hill TV, and then if I have time, then I do like some exercise class. Usually, there's this guy Ryan Heffington who has a dance studio but he started having this hour dance class on his Instagram, and people from around the world watch it. So, and I don't know, I'll take a walk. I've been doing some writing, and so that's taken up. I'm trying to finish this Rizzoli book. I have to get them a bunch more information, captions with pictures.
And do the fact of working on this Rizzoli book makes you nostalgic? Because I guess that you're rewatching like old pictures.
Yeah, I mean, well, I've already kind of gone over it so many times that yeah, some of it is. I actually really try not to get too involved with it because it is kind of emotional. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't. I really just want it to be done. Actually.
Do you get bored sometimes?
Oh yeah, sure. It's more though like I'm procrastinating about doing something, so I look at my phone or uh, look at Twitter, or look at Instagram.
You're more in Twitter or Instagram?
Well, I used to be more on Instagram, but now I've been just looking at Twitter more because of the politics of it.
And what is the first thing that you will do after, like, when we will all be free? Do you have a dream?
Well, I would love to go to the beach, actually. I miss the ocean. I mean, I could go look at it in my car driving by or something.